moving right along. We have Mr. Gilliam. You know, a lot of people think that this is just a woman's disease, but we know that's not true. So, Mr. Gilliam, tell us about your journey.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been around cancer all my life. Um, I think back to when I was a kid. My grandfather had lung cancer. That's my mother's father, and we actually lived in the house together. When I'm speaking like when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I can recall my mother taking them back and forth to MCV for treatments and stuff like that. He ended up dying like when I was around 10 years old. Then my first issue with cancer, I was in the 8th grade. I felt a bump on my index finger, my left hand. And my mom, they took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, it's just a cyst." And he lanced it, you know, hoping to see if it would drain or whatever. And it started growing. So they took me to a specialist, had a biopsy done, and kind of found out there was a cancerous tumor on my index finger. I was 13 years old. I had chemo. I took chemo for that. They amputated my index finger. And I took chemo for that for about 18 months. I turned 15 and 16 in the hospital from complications from like, back then I had like a catheter in my chest, and it always got infected. So I dealt with that all my teenage years. So when I went in remission when I was like 16, and my mom, she had been with me like the whole time. My mom, she was a beautician, and so she took time off of work to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? Like those 2 years. And when they put me in remission, my mom found out she had breast cancer. So 6 months after I graduated high school, my mother died from breast cancer. So it kind of like, you know, messed me up. You know, I guess just having to, you know, lose your mother after dealing with cancer, you know, for years myself. Losing my mother to breast cancer, it was kind of tough at 18. So I never had any more issues myself with the cancer. Went for years, get chest x-rays, and never had any problems. Then, what was it, 2021? I was in the shower, taking a bath, and I felt a lump. And I credit having cancer as a kid, and they always say, "Hey, if you feel a lump, bump, or a bruise, go get it checked out." So I said, "Oh, this don't feel right." So I called my doctor, and mind you, this was October of 21, and I had just had like a physical or whatnot in that August. So I called my doctor, and I was like, "Hey, I need to come in and let you check me out." So he brought me right in, and when he examined me, he was like, "Yeah, something don't feel right." So he sent me to get a mammogram. And the crazy part about the whole situation is, I'm going back to like when I got my appointment to go visit the doctor. My appointment was the same day that my mother died from breast cancer. So I knew it wasn't gonna be a good visit. You know what I'm saying? So in my heart, I was like, yeah, this is not a good visit. So when I got there, I had the mammogram, and then they brought me in for a biopsy, and couldn't find out it was a cancerous tumor. But luckily, you know, by me being proactive and knowing, like to go check myself out after a lump, bump, or a bruise, I was able to detect it early. So it hadn't spread it to no lymph nodes or anything like that. So I ended up having surgery that January. February 22, I started treatment. I had to have 8 rounds of chemo. It wasn't as, like when I was young, I had chemo was real rough on me. I had 18 months of chemo, and I was super sick. You know, it was now, you know, technology and treatment's a little bit lighter on a person, but it was real rough on me, and I was like, man, I didn't want to go through that again, what I went through as a kid. But they was like, yeah, the medicines aren't as harsh as they were then, so it was a little lighter actually. And I had one right before I got diagnosed anyway, I was living a healthier life, like she was talking about earlier, where when you're overweight and you borderline diabetic, and it's like your life, your body's in a vulnerable state. So when your body is in that state, it's easy to pick up like diseases and stuff like that, especially if you're not eating a healthier diet. So since the cancer, you know, it got me closer to God, eating healthier, changed my lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I promote healthy eating organic. I'm an advocate for just healthy lifestyle for men. But since January, so now I've been cancer free. I had my surgery in January. They said you aren't cancer free until a year after your surgery. So I'm considered it's been a year. So
All right. Talking to some people in the community, I have a few questions I want to ask you all. First of all, this stigma, Regina, you're from the area, so our generation, I hear it so many times, no news is good news. How would you respond to that? Some people don't want to know. You know, they're like, if I don't know what I don't know, won't hurt me.
Well, that's a very big misconception, because I had no signs or symptoms. And it's crazy because just like Renee mentioned, we kind of speculate. I took birth control pills, so that's kind of where we think mine probably either came from or it's a trace of it. And it's so odd because I had went back to my, I was going to my GYN and talking to her about just other things that was going on. And, you know, I felt like I said, am I going through what they call a change? Is this what the change is? I don't know. You know, what's going on? I was like, either I'm somewhere bawling my eyes out or I'm somewhere mad all the time. Like, what? We got to do something. And one of two of the first things she suggested was either for me to go back on birth control pills, because it would help kind of regulate my mood and my cycle, or either I could take like an antidepressant. Now, mind you, at this time, I think my son was 13, so I hadn't been on birth control in forever. And I'm just like, you know, when she said the antidepressant, I wasn't against it, but working in mental health, it was just like, do I really need that? Like, you know. So all of that to say, had I taken like the easy route of going just, give me a pill and shut me up, I probably would have exacerbated my situation a lot worse and a lot faster, because I would have probably went back on the birth control pill that I was used to, being that I know, you know, there weren't a lot of side effects when I was taking it. So I wasn't going to start with something new. I would allow her to put me back on that, which would have been an estrogen pill. And like I said, it probably would have made my situation a lot worse. So I'm grateful for having learned what I didn't know, because like I said, other than that, I had no real signs or symptoms.
Okay. Renee, people want to know, what was your first reaction when you were told you had breast cancer?
I was numb. That was just it. I can remember to this day when they told me. I said, nah, that can't be me, you know. But initially I was just numb. Okay. And then, you know, once I collected my thoughts and I started processing what they were telling me, I had family that I was able to communicate my results with, which helped a lot. And so I have a very close-knit family. And once we started talking and discussing it, I said, well, you know, There's no need to be in a denial. I already know what to do. And I need to just go forth and handle the situation so I can live, because I'm not going to let cancer kill me. I'm going to outlive cancer.
All right. Marcus, what did you do? How did you find the strength to approach your treatments?
Well, having gone through it, like I said, as a kid, I was familiar with it. So this time it was a little bit different, far as a better understanding of the chemo. And then, like me, I'm a type of person, if whatever I'm involved in, I like to do research and learn. So I did a lot of studying and reading up on the chemo, the cancer, healthier lifestyle. So that kind of like eased my pain, and gave me a sense of more confidence where I can deal with it better.
Okay. Renee, back to you. What did you do to help you meet the challenges of your treatments?
The first time, I just went through demotion, and I really leaned on my physicians, because I was adamant that I just did not want chemo. I saw what my mother went through. And back in the 80s, chemo was very aggressive, and I knew I did not want that. So I made the decision. I had a choice. I could have gotten a mastectomy the first time, and I said, no, I didn't want that. By my, what are those screenings that we take? The BRCA1 and BRCA2 tests coming back negative. I said, no, I don't need to have a mastectomy. I'm gonna do lumpectomy and I'm gonna do radiation.
Okay.
But the second time, I was resistant when they told me that I had to do 4 rounds of chemo. And my oncologist had to really sit down and talk with me. She said, you think about it, 4 rounds compared to what other people take. So through her educating me, although I knew, but the way she explained it, it was totally different than what I thought. And as you said, the new medications that were out. But I chose to meet with the naturopathy during my process. So I went through chemo like a champ. I was never sick. And that's probably because of the supplements that was provided to me. You would have never known I had cancer if I hadn't lost my hair at any given time. But because I lost my hair, people knew something was going on. So, you know, after I got over some things, I just said, all right, this is my round 2. And I gotta do things different. I can't think negative. I gotta think high. So that's why my motto is thrivers to survivors, because I'm a thriver.
All right.
And I continue to spread the word about breast awareness to anybody that wanna listen, because it's real.
It is.
And so my challenge today, just keep thriving, Renee.
Okay.
And that's what I do.
All right.